Well, I guess in our community, we were one of the first communities in all of British Columbia to start a trail system, and that was 30 or 40 years ago. And Richmond is probably one of the most active communities in all of British Columbia as people walk and jog the dikes and enjoy the environment and the birds and the ducks and the geese as they go by. But we've gone beyond that now, and all along our trails and in every park in Richmond, we're putting in allotment gardens and urban agriculture. So we've got joggers and hikers and gardeners all combined in all of our parks. We made agriculture a regular use in a park, and I think that's probably quite unique that in our zoning bylaws, all parks are now classified as agricultural lands. I guess the best one is the Terranova Rural Park, which we're only about a tenth of the way along in developing. We have all kinds of old fields and treed lands with many different species of birds. So you'll find, and we have trails going through those areas, and you'll find bird watchers with their cameras and their binoculars looking at the birds. And then you go through a little an area of just a fence row, and suddenly you're in some gardens where there's a whole pile of people out there digging their potatoes or planting their beans or whatever, and getting their recreational joy and activity from working with the soil. And what we're finding is that there's a real crossover that people will go for a walk in the park and they'll do some gardening, and it's become a lifestyle changer, I would guess, where you have so many different activities along the trail system and in one park. And we're doing it with every park. Well, Richmond has been declared on several occasions the healthiest community in Canada with the greatest longevity of anybody in Canada. And I think it's the recreational activities that we have been building upon over the decades. So that's the real payoff. But the other thing is that people get great pleasure out of the outdoors and the trails and the gardens. And so it's a healthy community where people really enjoy what they're doing, but also it pays off in good health for the community and a lot smaller health bills at the hospital. Actually, it's been a lot of collaboration. In fact, we couldn't convince Richmond Council when we started. When myself and a few others came up with an idea of converting our dikes and riverbanks into a trail system, nobody had done that in British Columbia. And the Richmond staff weren't interested. I took it up with Richmond Council and staff, and the mayor of the day said no one will ever walk down the dikes around Richmond. And a friend of mine, Don Arnold, was an Olympic rower, won a gold medal in the Olympics for the UBC4 team back in the late 50s. He happened to be the president of the BC Recreation Association. And Don invited me to come and address their convention. And we sold the idea to the BC Recreationists, and then Richmond Council got on board. So it's been a collaboration all the way. You find many different ways of doing things. And we've had a lot of nonprofit groups, a lot of citizen groups have got behind the ideas and pushed the ideas. Quite often the politicians are the last ones to decide to do it, but when the community gets behind it, it gets done. If you want to do these things, you don't have to start big. You can start really small. Some of the projects we've done have been very small. Our first gardens in Richmond were very small scale, and in fact, they were very temporary. And so many people wanted to plant a garden there that we were able to convince our staff that this was something that people wanted, and now we've got gardens everywhere. Actually, if you start small and people are enthusiastic about it and say we want to do this, then it grows very, very quickly. In terms of outdoor life, our community is very much engaged in Richmond in all aspects, and you can't ask for more than that.